So we can. Okay, could we start now, Prof. Dawood? Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you record it, please?
Okay, yes. Okay. Okay, we will start. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, dear my students, today is Stadium General, and the topic of our Stadium General is human concept in Islam. The lecture will be delivered by Professor Dr. Dawood Abdul Malik Yahya Al-Hidabi. Oh, sorry, Professor, if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. So
No,
sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. No problem.
Okay. Professor Dawood, so could we call you, your nickname is Dawood or?
Dawood, just Dawood.
Okay,
Dawood
Dawood,
Al-Hidabi.
okay.
Dawood Al-Hidabi. That's the first, my.
It's okay, yeah. It's okay, Dawood, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Professor Dawood is Professor of Education and Director of the International Institute for Muslim Unity. And now, Professor Dawood is a lecturer in International Islamic University, Malaysia. And academic qualification for Professor Dawood in postgraduate, master and doctor of philosophy in education from University of Stirling, Scotland, UK. Is that right, Prof?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I read from your CV in IIUM, Prof. And the area of specialization of Professor Dawood Abdul Malik Yahya Al-Hidabi is social science education. Yes. And teaching responsibilities that still held by Professor Dawood till present is research on teaching and teacher educations, yeah, and qualitative research methods, and research project is still present until now is the retention of international students from conflict zones countries in at IIUM. Maybe some of lecturer from UNISSULA who interested in this research maybe could join with Professor Dawood. Yeah? There are so many publications from Professor Dawood, but I just read selected publication from years of 2021. There are educational technology design for individual education plan to teach the hearing impaired according to the Wehman model. Yeah? And if the effect of organizational identification on organizational commitment among primary Omeni school empirical study in journal education and psychological service. Yeah? And so many publications from Professor Dawood, and you may check about Professor Dawood publication in Google Scholars and Professor Dawood CV in IIUM. And our Stadium General, you may deliver the presentation, Professor Dawood, about an hour, and then after that we will discussions. Maybe some student will deliver questions to you, and maybe not just student, maybe some lecturer who join this Stadium General.
Okay.
Okay, Professor Dawood, about an hour's until lecture is yours.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Dear professors, lecturers, dear my brothers and sisters among the students of UNISSULA, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Based on our collaboration between the International Islamic University, Malaysia, and UNISSULA, University in Indonesia, we are quite happy to collaborate and work together for the sake of serving our Ummah. I myself attended a conference in your university maybe 3 years ago. And Alhamdulillah, now I meet you in this online lecture because COVID-19. Otherwise, I think we can exchange face to face. However, the topic of today is human concept in Islam. And I myself prefer to use the word or the concept insan. I think even Bahasa Indonesia, you are using insan as a concept, which refers to human beings. Anyway, in this session, we will try to understand the concept of insan in Islam, and also we would attempt to understand some of the implication of this concept in our lives, whether at the individual life or the organizational life, or even at our life in general. Also, we'll try to explore the differences between the man-made philosophies and Islam in relation to insan concept. First of all, I would like to draw your attention to a very basic thing, that when we talk about the concept of insan in Islam, then the comparison, we tend to refer to man-made philosophies, because the mainstream philosophies, particularly in our world today, is the man-made philosophies. We don't focus much on the paradigm of Islam, or what we can sometimes call it Tawhidic paradigm, or sometimes we call it worldview, Islamic worldview. So let us see what are the main differences between Islam, which is Allah's religion. It doesn't refer to man's or man-made religion. It is Allah's religion, revealed by to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we refer to them by Quran and Sunnah. So what are the main or the unique differences between our deen and other man-made philosophies? Because we start with La ilaha illallah. So everything comes from Tawheed. Because if you believe in the Creator, in one Creator, that is Allah, then that's the first distinguishing factor between our conceptualization and man-made view of insan or human beings. Okay, based on that Tawhidic paradigm or Islamic worldview, there are three areas or group of or categories which might be used to distinguish between the conceptualization of Islam and other man-made ways of thinking. Number one, the ultimate goals. Our ultimate goals as Muslims are different from the man-made philosophies, whatever you call them. Because across history, we read in textbooks and references a lot of man-made philosophies. So our aim here is to serve Allah, to worship Him, to act on behalf of Him on this life. So our aim is to seek Allah's pleasure, to be admitted to paradise. Those philosophies now we refer to in our educational institution textbooks, they don't accept that. They don't establish their understanding on that basis. Second, Muslim assumptions. What are our assumptions? What the meaning of assumption is what we take for granted without questioning. So we take that Allah is our creator, that Prophet Muhammad is our messenger. Quran is an authentic book. Sunnah, the authentic Sunnah is the saying and the actions and the approval of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have something to take for granted without questioning. In man-made philosophies, they don't have that kind of assumptions. So we start from something, they start from nothing. They don't believe in revelation. They don't accept that Allah is the creator. And number three, our motivation. What motivates us to do or to think or to innovate or to be creative? Our motivation is to serve our society, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Khairun nasi anfa'uhum linnas." The best people are the most beneficial people to other human beings. So our motivation is to be among the best people in the eye of Allah. It's to get the reward from Allah. So I'm coming now to give this talk because I feel I will be rewarded from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our motivation, the ultimate motivation, are not the same. So we can see the differences in terms of ultimate goals, in terms of assumptions, and in terms of motivation. If these three things are different, so do you think the concept of human or the concept of insan will be the same? Because we will refer to what we assume as or take for granted knowledge. The sources of knowledge for us, Quran and Sunnah. So if we want to know the concept of insan, we have to refer to them. In the Western philosophies, they do not refer to revelation, because in fact, we believe their revelation is already corrupted. It's not the word of Allah anymore. So it's man-made. So we cannot refer to something which is made by human beings. And that's the basic assumption. That will make a huge difference in the process of conceptualizing the concept of insan or human. Since we believe in Allah as our creator, then the only one who knows the nature of insan is only Allah. If the sorry, can you mute? If we look at the computer in front of us now, if we have any problem, if we want to know more about this computer, its specification and everything, we have to refer to the company which made that computer. The company which made the computer is the only reference to us. I cannot go to a carpenter or a plumber or even a professor of the university to ask him or her about everything about the computer I am having. How can I go and ask somebody else about the concept of insan? And they are not the creator of themselves. The only creator of human beings has the only role to give the command and to explain the concept. So only we have to refer to Quran Sunnah to know the Islamic concept of insan, because that is Allah's commands and orders. So revelation. Now let us come to what Allah said. I'll just, in fact, because we are talking very briefly, so I will be singling out some of the verses and the hadith so that we can see the concept, some aspect of the concept of insan, and to some extent its implications. قال الله تعالى وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. That's the first aspect of insan. When your Lord said to the angels, lo, I am about to place a firstborn on earth. Khalifa fil ard. Khalifa is a concept. It's an Arabic language concept, Khalifa. But we are talking about Khalifa to whom? To Allah. So we are acting in this life on behalf of Allah based on His commandments. So when we say Khalifa, it means you are implementing the orders and the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to what the Prophet explained this revelation. Now, there are several implications for the concept of Khalifa, including first, ibadah. Because Allah, the Creator, said that we have to worship Him. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create the jinns and the human being except for the purpose that they should worship me. So now, part of the Khilafah is our role and function in this life is worship. And in Islam, the concept of worship is not as some Muslim might think of, like prayer, zakah, hajj, fasting. No. Everything now I'm teaching, it's a kind of ibadah. You are student seeking knowledge, is a kind of ibadah. So what we do is linked to Him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Say my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, my death is for Allah. So that's the concept of ibadah, is a holistic concept encompassing every act and every saying we say. Everything we can think and say and act accordingly, that's a kind of ibadah. So that the concept of Khilafah is related to that particular concept. Another concept is i'mar. I'mar is to develop this life, to construct this life and develop it for the purpose of improving the well-being of individuals, families, societies, and humanity at large. That's the concept of i'mar. Because in other religions, sometimes they go and segregate and isolate themselves in the church or in any worshiping place. That is, we call it priesthood. It has nothing to do with Islam. Islam is an active social religion. If you want to be a Khalifa as insan, you have to work toward developing life and manage it effectively based on the knowledge you develop and the rules and also the laws you discover to run this life effectively within the framework of Islam. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُمْ فِيهَا in Surah Hud, verse 61, and made you settle therein. Because our abode, our place about living place was Al-Jannah. But Allah sent Adam and Hawa to this life to settle down for a short span of time for a test. Then it is related also, Khilafah, to another further concept, taskhir. Taskhir, that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, whatever in heaven and earth for human beings, for insan. وَسَخَّرَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. He had subjected all that is in the heavens and the earth for your benefit. So now, we are ordered, we are leaders, and we have to utilize everything in our environment, whether in heavens or earth, for the sake of constructing and developing this world in order to improve the well-being so that people can succeed and feel happy in this life. Non-Muslims, they think what they have, what they can get in their own discovery and knowledge, that they have got it out of their power. Like Fir'aun, when he said in Surah Al-Qasas, verse 78, but he answered, this wealth was given to me on account of the knowledge I possess. As Muslims, the knowledge we possess, it is just little part of that knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. What you have been given from knowledge is so little. So that's the ethical dimension of the concept of insan, is humbleness and fairness and submission to the source of knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also in the same surah, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah grant human with the ability to learn. Then Allah taught Adam the names of all things. Now that's again, is one of the basic characteristics of insan, is the ability to learn without being able to learn. Then we are animals. Allah has created animals and all living and non-living things for the benefit of human beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasized this, the ability to learn, by saying, وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. And Allah has brought you out from the wombs of your mothers while you know nothing. So when we were born, we don't know anything. But we have the ability to seek knowledge, to produce knowledge, to generate knowledge, and put them in for our benefits. And He gave you, and that's the channels by which we can collect and observe data. And He gave you hearing, and that's we can, by research, we hear. Most of the hearing comes through interviews or discussion and so on. And sight by observation. So whether it is quantitative or qualitative knowledge you generate, that is the gifts which were granted by Allah to us. And hearts. And here in Quran, the hearts put together the emotion and the intellectual skills. So we get through the senses, the data, and we process them through our heart. Our heart, we mean here both the brain and the emotion. That you might give thanks, and that is the concept of Islam. Whatever knowledge you generate and what reflection and thinking you make, the first aim not only to benefit from this knowledge you generate, but also to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a different conceptualization of the concept of insan. All created mankind equal. This is another concept, another aspect of insan, equality. The best among them is the best in piety and the best in moral excellence. In Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 13, the most honored of you are the ones the most mindful of him. Surely the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous among you. Another translation. Brothers and sisters, here until today, the whole world talking about equality, but discrimination is there, that still exists. How many millions are dying because of discrimination? Unfortunately, there is no quality. There is exploitation. Just a simple thing. Climate change. It is a problem. They just organized a conference in Glasgow, in Scotland. But they came with nothing. They couldn't agree to be equal so that people can live happily in this world. Because few people, whether government or companies or individuals, they want to earn more money at the expense of humanity. That's why their concept of insan is unjust, is not fair, is zalim. So that is Islam, is looking for just society, equal society in every aspect. As you know, how many millions from Africa were taken slaves? So at the beginning of that, during the 19th century, they were taken as slaves. They bought them, they sold them like commodities. So that was a commodity concept of insan. Also, other people in the West, they talk about machine concept. Machine concept where they buy their labor for money. If you don't work that way in a very bad environment, they will never give you the money. Yes, you have to work like a machine. And nowadays, recently, they started talking about humanistic concept of insan. But, sorry?
Muhammad Akbar, yeah, okay.
Can you mute? Yes. Humanistic concept of insan in the West is giving the freedom to do whatever you want without taking into account neither religion nor even society, tradition and custom and culture. That's why we find people, they believe in multiple reality. We believe in one reality, Tawheed. There is only one reality for everything. So, brothers and sisters, we have to take into account that if we want human beings to live happily, we have to perpetuate the concept of equality, true equality, that everybody in the eye of Allah, the same according to their righteousness, not their color or their wealth or whatever, as it is the case in the West. Another aspect of insan is we have certainly created man in the best form. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. Now, other philosophers in the West, they argue that we came in an evolution, according to the evolution theory, from apes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He created us in the best form, a completely different from animals. But that's the man-made philosophies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, dignified us and honored us. And people, they want us to degrade us, to be treated like animals. Man did not evolve from apes. Humans were created by Allah with special gifts and unique qualities. Allah gave us the mind, the knowledge, and also the free will. The free will is an important part of the Islamic concept of insan. That is the choice for decisions, to decide about your own destiny. Allah has given us these qualities to decide whatever we want, and give us also the guidelines, that's the Quran Sunnah, so that we don't go astray in our decision if we will. Because there is no compulsion in religion. No compulsion in religion. You have to use your mind. The guidance is there. It's up to you to decide to follow the guidance or not to follow. But you have to be accountable before Allah for your own decision. That's the freedom and the free will for, or irada for the person. Quran states that all humans are the descent of one man, Adam, and are therefore brothers to one another. So there is no classes in Islam. But in the West, you'll find people are classes. Higher class, middle class, working class. And they're fighting for social mobility. They couldn't do it. But in Islam, as I said, the best in the eye of Allah is the most pious, the most righteous, and the most Allah's conscious. So a poor man or woman could be better than a wealthy man or woman in the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That make you happy, because the ending will be better for you. There is no envy among, that's, as I said, there is an ethical dimension for the concept of insan. Because this is fitrah, the button in which Allah has made mankind. So that we are all brothers and sisters, whether the Muslims or non-Muslims. All of us are brothers. We have to care for each other, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. The Quran tells that the believers have been sent for the betterment of mankind. So the main aim now of human beings is to establish a good life for everybody, for humanity. So the aim is the betterment of life for mankind, regardless culture and religion. Because we all should promote what is good and prevent what is wrong. And that is what helps us to have a better life. When we have a set of regulation, which help us to live happily according to Quran and Sunnah. However, this is to be carried out in the best possible manner. No individual honor should be injured, and no harm should be arise out of it. Human as creatures consisting of physical and spiritual elements. So once we are brothers, we have to work to improve the life of everybody in life. That's the true sense of insan. Another aspect is that man was created from two wings. One is the physical one is the spiritual. قال تعالى وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني خالق بشرا من صلصال من حمأ مسنون فإذا سويته ونفخت فيه من روحي فقعوا له ساجدين. Recall when your Lord said to the angels, I will indeed bring into being a human being out of dry clay. That's the physical, material part of our creation. Formed from black mud. When I have completed shaping him and have breathed into him of my spirit, that is the second, the spiritual side of the body or the insan. Then fall you down before him in prostration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered his creation to prostrate for human beings. He's talking about the angels. He ordered them, he commanded them to do sujood for human beings because they are not like them from spirit, not like others from fire, but they are blessed from clay, from materialistic things, from earth and from spirit. So here, if we want to succeed in this life, according to this concept, even in the education system, we have to bring up and develop the personality of our young generation so that they can have balanced, comprehensive, integrated, holistic development. So that they can live without stress, without an anxiety, without psychological problem, without physical problem. What I mean by lack of wealth or whatever. We have to help them so that they can take into account the physical and the spiritual side in their life. Another aspect, insan also is not left without guidance. Because Allah created us, as I told you, if this computer in front of us needs a manual of instruction to repair, to mend, to get the help, we have to have a manual of instruction. This manual for us, Quran and Sunnah. Allah has created us and He said, if you want to repair yourself, to lead a good life, to use this life effectively, then this is your manual, Quran and Sunnah. In وَهَدَيْنَا هَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ, and we pointed out to him the two clear ways of good and evil. Iman has two potential inclination as well. So why he is guiding us? Because we have the good side, the strength and weaknesses. So in terms of weaknesses, we need guidance in order to live happily and successfully in this life and the life to come. Allah has provided us with the senses and the mind plus revelation so that we can live happily, think more creatively. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. In Surah Al-Shams, the one that قَدْ أَفْلَح, succeed, the person who purify his soul, succeed, and the one who corrupted fail. Now it is our free will and choice and decision to follow, to purify our soul or to corrupt our soul. Because what matters is not only the physical entity of our body, but our heart. So the concept of insan as such has several dimensions, namely the cognitive, that's the mind, the reasoning, the emotional with the heart, the social aspect. Because man cannot live without being able to interact with others. In fact, one of the commandments of Islam is to get married, to establish a family. And the basic unit of a society is the family. So the social aspect is part and parcel of insan. The ethical, as we mentioned earlier, and the practical dimension, or the action, or the behavior, the deeds, the righteous deeds according to our right beliefs. Thus, insan has to be treated on the basis of all these connotations. As we know that angels were asked to prostrate, to do sujood for created man. Other man-made philosophies focus on one or two components. They might talk about the mind. That's why you will find in the philosophies, they talk about cognition, and they have talked about cognition, or emotion, or ethics. But they don't have this comprehensive, integrated approach to human beings, which also link and integrate the aql and naql, what we think and reason, with the revelation to support if we are going astray. We don't have such kind of things in the textbooks we study in our university. In Islam, insan had to be treated in a holistic and integrated manner. Now in Quran, insan, the word insan mentioned 71 times and bashar 37 times. I'll tell you why. Because the concept of bashar, it's talked about the mankind, referred to the shape and manner of human beings, the physical shape to some extent, which make them different from animal like apes or whatever. Whereas the word insan is coming, the root of the word insan, from ons. Ons is to be close and intimate, to whom you share and you interact socially. So it means that insan is a social being, and he or she needs more conducive social environment to be more innovative and creative, as well as happy and successful. That's what the universities had to do, is to provide a conducive social environment which help people to interact and produce better and to live better. Insan has different components and not only restricted to a materialistic and economic aspect as we are dealt with insan today. You can see the media, the social, what they are focusing on. They are only on the lust and emotion, the negative emotion of people, or materialistic, economic, and wealth. The social aspect is an outstanding element, not like other philosophy which focus more on individualistic perspective. They want the individual to decide whatever, regardless, custom, culture, norms, laws, revelation, what have you. So institution and organization have to create a social and comfortable environment where people fulfill their needs as they were created by Allah. Work also has to be organized in teams to be consistent. So even our teaching should focus on this social aspect, like cooperative learning, group work, and so on. Insan has dual nature, that is material and spiritual. So insan is characterized by ability to be a leader, ability to think, reason, and learn, to develop life, to change and transform. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will never change the state of people unless they change themselves. So we have the ability of changing ourselves. And that's a very important aspect of the concept of insan in Islam. Because he has a free will, free or ability to decide, ability to distinguish between good and bad, then it is recommended of him to reform himself first, herself first, then the family, and then the society at large, to shoulder what we call amana, which Allah has bestowed upon us with this amana. The whole life is amana, given to him by Allah, to struggle in achieving the goals and aspiration, and to serve others. But also insan has weaknesses. Insan needs help and guidance, and he has to put extra effort to help himself or herself. Such negative characteristic, being in a hurry, and that this is just some of the weaknesses of human beings. Being in a hurry all the time, pessimism, weakness, stinginess, jealousy, unsatisfaction, forgetfulness, following his or her lust and desire at the expense of others, tend to argue and dispute, to do injustice, ignorant, thinking of being eternal, easy to be misled, and other as stated in the Quran. All these, we need the guidance of Quran to bridge the gap and to help us to overcome all these weaknesses. Otherwise, we'll go astray. Allah revealed a complete surah, Surah Al-Insan. I hope this should be a homework for our students to look at Surah Al-Insan. I don't think we have time to discuss all this, but at least read this surah, Surah Al-Insan, to understand part of this kind of things, and also look at Surah Al-Baqarah when they are talking about the Khilafah. These two, Al-Baqarah from verse 30 to 39, and this Surah Al-Insan, you will be able at least to have the main concept of insan. The surah discusses that Allah created insan and how he or she was created. Also, insan has a good innate nature and two pulling powers inside the self. So by nature we are good, but sometimes our nafs, our self, sometimes lead us to commit something bad. With Allah's guidance and insan mind, the institution and the organization can help and support its members, like students, to fulfill their needs and potential, and consequently the members will contribute immensely to institution, organization, mission, and objectives. The second part in Surah Al-Insan, Allah guide insan and grant him or her the free will to make a good or bad decision. Then insan will be accountable before Allah in the hereafter. The third, Allah clarified rewards and punishment for insan in the hereafter. The fourth, Allah explained the importance of ibadah and dhikr. Thus, institution and organization have to create an environment to fulfill the spiritual needs of insan's personality. The fifth and the final component of this surah stress that the real success of insan is in the hereafter. The university has to contribute to the comprehensive development of insan so that he or she will contribute to the well-being of the education institutions, organization, and society. Now, briefly, let us summarize some of the qualities of the good qualities or positives of insan. Ability to learn because of the creation of mind, because he was born ignorant, as stated in the Quran, granted with senses and mind to learn and decide. To be a leader of all creatures on earth, and Allah created everything for insan service, but avoid to corrupt. Today, the whole world is corrupting our planet Earth. Insan has to know, innovate, develop life, improve the well-being of society and humanity, i'mar, life construction, and the life to come. Allah created insan with the mind and senses to be able to learn and distinguish between what is beneficial and what is harmful for individual and communities. Of course, with the guidance of Quran and Sunnah, we have to cultivate and activate the use of intellectual skills to decide and act according to his or her free will. Allah grant insan with the ability to exert effort, to generate wealth, to contribute to the well-being of the family, community, and humanity. And if we refer to maqasid al-Sharia, the 5, one of them is wealth development. Also, struggle in purifying the self to be true servant of Allah with the commitment to Islamic teaching. That's insan has self-blaming and nafs al-lawama, self-inciting to commit evils, al-ammara bis-su', and satisfied soul or soul at peace, and nafs al-mutma'inna. We need our universities are to cultivate in the student, the last 2 types of souls. Al-lawama, the blaming, because it's our nature to commit wrong and mistakes. So we have to cultivate in our students how they can blame and check and evaluate, do muhasaba for themselves and blame themselves and move on to improve the situation. Allah is merciful and compassionate. Muslim institution and organization have to recognize that caring for insan and teams reflect the care for university performance and objective. Because man is not just a physical entity, he needs food. It's a complete being. It's a holistic, integrated person. And let us talk about some of the weaknesses in brief. First, as I said, weakness. Person, human beings, insan is a weak, and man was created weak. That's why he needs to refer to Allah. That's why Allah has given him the guidance. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Man was created weak. And this weakness could be physical, could be psychological, could be intellectual or mental. And that's why we tend to drift away according to our, desire. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, adorn for the people is the love of desire. And Allah said, and we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger. So fear and hunger is part of the weaknesses, and loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give good tidings to the patient or sabr. Surely the human is created impatient and greedy. Allah. This is one of the weaknesses, is being impatient. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about sabr. And one of the hadith of the Prophet said, sabr is half of religion, because it's a very important quality. And greedy, because you want to look for his or her own interest. Never talk about others. When an evil touch him, he cries. He cries out. Only we refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we have problems. إن الإنسان خلق هلوعا إذا مسه الشر جزوعا وإذا مسه الخير منوعا. Again, insan is always in a hurry. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ عَجُولًا. For humankind is ever hasty. Also, despair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ كَانَ يَئُوسًا. And when some evil touches them, he is in total despair. So when we know this kind of weaknesses, We need to support each other. And if you want to know more about it, read Surah Al-Asr, you will know that. Also dispute, always argue. Man like to argue. Insan will like to argue. That's what وهو فإذا هو خصيم مبين. خصيم مبين becomes a clear adversary, dispute openly. Then also being unjust, ungrateful. كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى. In fact, man crosses the limits. إن الإنسان لظلوم كفار. Most surely man is very unjust, very ungrateful. The concept of insan in Islam is unique. This is the conclusion. The concept of Islam is unique simply because it is related to the creator of Allah. Since Allah is the creator, then he is the only one who has the right to command. Allah bestowed upon us with unique qualities, honored us, created us in the best form, and make us to act on behalf of him and serve none but him. We were created to manage life, to succeed in it and the life to come. We live here for a specific span of time and go back to where our father Adam and Hawa lived. This life is for test and the reward when we return to Allah in Akhirah. Human cannot understand the whole truth objectively, despite the fact that human senses and mind help him or her to understand and discover the laws which run our life. However, his or her understanding will go wrong unless he or she follows Allah's guidance. Human cannot understand the whole truth. Human has to balance between the soul and the body, the material and the spiritual, this life and the second life, the individual and societal life, reason and emotion, and his or her life in a holistic, integrated, and balanced way. Thank you very, very much. I was planning to give you, in fact, I thought maybe it will take a shorter time. So I thought I will discuss with you a new model to replace Maslow hierarchy of needs, because we are talking about human needs here. And unfortunately, we are still using Maslow hierarchy of needs, but inshallah, in another lecture in the future, we can talk about what are other alternatives, what is the new model of human needs instead of Maslow.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Dawood. It will be happy for us if we can join your next lecture. Okay. Mahasiswa, silakan yang mau bertanya bisa langsung, kalau yang menggunakan bahasa Inggris bisa langsung raise hand untuk unmute mic-nya, langsung disampaikan kepada Profesor Dawood. Silakan. Ada yang raise hand? Oke, belum ada ya? Oke, ini ada dari pesan. Sebentar, tadi kayaknya ada yang di awal ya. Oke. Oke, Professor Dawood, there are two questions from students.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Professor Dawood, I would tell you that students who participate this lecture are bachelor degree of psychology. Yeah, they are a bachelor degree, not a master, but your material is familiar to them, it's related with the Islamic psychology. Yeah. Okay, the first question is from, Badik Salsa Bil Hasim. And the question is, from your perspective as Muslim, what do you think about Taliban, ISIS, Boko Haram, and Al-Qaeda, and Houthi? Do you think about the like ISIS or Taliban or Al Qaeda, it's drawn about the Muslim society or not?
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is a political question. It is not a psychological question. However, if you are, first I would like to say that Islam propagate not extremism, but wasatiyah, moderate Islam. Islamic Ummah is wasati Ummah. Anyone who go to the left or to the right, then it is not Islam. So if you read the Quran, judge people according to Quran Sunnah. Judge people according to Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah look for unity, justice, welfare, care, equality. So anyone, peace, and so on. Anyone who goes against these qualities, then he has some weaknesses. We have to advise them. So there is no need to talk about one particular group or another. Although what you are talking about, most of the, we cannot put them in one basket. You have to decide about each one according to Islam. Maybe refer to your ulama in your country. They will be able to tell you exactly what is the Islamic judgment or point of view regarding each group of those whom you are talking about. And the best is your ulama.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Dawood. Yeah. Okay, there are two students who raise hand. Maybe host could you help me? Siapa yang raise hand itu ada dua itu ya? Siapa ya? Langsung aja dibuka mic-nya. Siapa ya?
Assalamualaikum, Pak.
Oke, Septian Prawisuda Putra, silakan. You may ask the question directly to Professor Dawood.
First of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the lecture. It's very, it's such a fresh breeze of truth for me, especially in the middle of a study from the textbook and journals that are so, it tends to be so technical, and dare I say that it's soulless and even creatorless. So it's such a fresh breeze, and thank you for the comprehensive lecture. We rarely find it true such as this in the media nowadays. So I have a question concerning about the equality of humanity. So the other day I read a book about human rights. So the author of the book said that Islam's concept of human rights is for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of humanity itself. So he mentioned that this leads to Muslims prone to misinterpret the concept of humanity for their own gain. For example, political gain, etc., etc. In a way, according to his opinion, the author tends to draw the concept of human beings, ironically, from the views of humanity that have weaknesses and such, just like the lecture mentioned earlier. So I feel the book is devoid of purpose and solution, just like people complaining or something. So I found out the source of the author's knowledge is from Germany, from Jürgen Habermas and Friedrich Nietzsche. Those are the two names that I recognize. The latter is a nihilist, if I'm not mistaken, so it's not really a very, very healthy way of looking things from Islamic perspective. So therefore, the concept of humanity is just going to be diminish everything else, including Islam, the ultimate truth that we know, and it is the ultimate truth. So because if we try to do that, it's like we're trying to bypass the Creator in deciding how to live. So I like to live this way, and this is my view. So this is the human rights view, and therefore it's the truth. So I found the book is so controversial in itself, so it contradicts itself a lot because it views human rights from humanity perspectives. So finally, I found out that the writer is a lecturer in Indonesia. I'm not going to mention the name for obvious reason. and a doctorate in philosophy and liberal arts. So and another.
Sapian, please simplify your question.
I'm sorry.
Please.
I apologize. So
Okay, it's okay.
my question is, how is Islamic's views in human rights? Is it the source from the Quran, or it's for the humanity's sake? Thank you very much for the response.
Okay, please, Professor Dawood.
Okay, thank you, brother. I think what you are talking about human rights in Islam first, who knows about insan? Who knows about insan first? Man or Allah? If we agree together that Allah knows better, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا, what you've been given of knowledge is so little, then we can say that whatever man tried his or her best to generate knowledge, it will be relative. Relative. It's not objective. Subjective to some extent. Okay? It's a very subjective. Now, the more people agree on intellectual reasoning, the more approaching objectivity. But they cannot reach 100% objective knowledge regarding anything, not only human rights, anything. Most of the knowledge we agree on nowadays is natural sciences, because we know exactly to measure, to accurately, and so on. But with regard to psychology, sociology, I mean social, psychological and social life, we tend to differ. Now, the first, premises, in order to know your own view, you have to tell me about what is your assumptions first. On what basis you are developing that particular concept of human rights? Are you with postmodernism, so man can marry a man, okay, or women can marry a woman? That's postmodernism, okay? Are you with, say, positivism? They are looking for universal laws, even in, they call it social physics. Who are you? That's very important. Now, we as Muslims, we start from our Islamic worldview. And we believe that what Allah has given us is very human. Allah did not want us to be degraded like animals or to fight each other or whatever. So the core, okay, the core of principles of human rights are stated quite clearly in Quran and Sunnah. But mankind can reach part of the truth, but not the whole truth. And we can agree on many things. I mean, if I ask you, do you need peace? All of us, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, they are looking for peace. Do they need to deliver food for the needy? Yes, we believe together. That's human right. Shelter, human right. But if you can see, even those who are calling for human rights today, whether the big powers or the United Nations, they are harming people all over the world. So they put a lot of propaganda for human rights, but they never ever fulfill such kind of human rights. Just as I said, stated climate change. Who is polluting this earth? Either government or groups or companies who are looking for personal use, personal benefits. They want to gain more wealth. Most of the wealthy people in the world, they are doing it right or wrong way. At the same time, they are polluting. We are dying. And everybody is fighting to change the climate because of human beings' corruption. So yes, human being can understand, can generate human rights principles, which we agree with. In fact, the Prophet, before he was becoming a prophet, there was a meeting among Arabs. It's called Hilf al-Fadul. It's a covenant, it's an agreement among the tribes in Arabia, just like now, United Nations, okay? And they agreed to protect the needy, to stand with the weak and the poor people and so on. And the Prophet, after Jibril came down and bring in the revelation, he said, if that covenant came again, I will join it. Although they were not Muslim, I will join it because they were looking for good, right things for human beings. So we are with human beings everywhere, so long as it really protects humanity. But we think that's part of the truth. We need to complete it, to perfect it with the truth revealed by Quran and Sunnah. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Prof. Dawood, for your answer. Okay, there is still one student who raised hand. Who is he or she? Okay, you may open your microphone, please, student who raised hand.
Excuse me, my voice is clearly?
Okay, Rifki. Okay, please, Rifki, ask your short question.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, Professor Dawood.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
In the history, we all know that slavery is not exist anymore in this world. But the fact is, slavery is still exists, but in a different model. Like, if you ever heard about 996 working hour in China. So, if I'm not mishearing that in your presentation, you say that we are brother even with whom that non-Muslim. So my question is, what kind of move that we can do as a human, not just as a human, but as a Muslim, to help our brother from slavery and other not humanist thing, while half of the world see our religion as a religion that always want to have war with the others? Thank you.
Okay.
Jazakallah khair. It's very, very important question you posed. Look, there is a verse in the Quran which states that you have to be good with everybody, Muslim or non-Muslim, except in two cases. First, they don't force you to leave your religion, or they kick you out from your land. Kick you from your land. Either they fight you because you are a Muslim, simply because you are a Muslim. Second, they kick you off your land. Now you have two criteria, two standards. Apply it wherever you want. I'll just give you an example. The Jews kicked the Muslim in Palestine, so they have to fight them. They kick them of their land. The same thing. If they force you not to be a Muslim, then you cannot be good to them at all. But apart from that, we have to be nice. Rahmatan lil alameen is a mercy for all mankind, because we want people to be good like us. So that's, I think, the answer. Wallahu alam.
Sorry. Okay, Prof. Dawood. There are some questions in chat room. Okay, I will read one by one for you. and translate into English.
Okay.
Okay, a second. The question from Muklis Setio Widodo. Yeah, from Muklis Setio Widodo. The question is, in the three philosophical characteristics that make Islam different from others, it is stated that the purpose of Muslim life is to serve and worship to Allah. But in other religion and teaching, such as Hinduism and Christian, they also know about the existence of worship to serve the God. So what do you think? What really makes the difference between from those religions? Thank in advance. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair, brother. Again, let us talk about Christianity. Christianity is a religion which exists. We protect them. We should be in good term with them, and they are our brothers so long as we live together without fighting, without kicking out, or they don't accept Islam as our religion. But when we talk about ultimate aim, he said that sometimes religions do the same. No, I will tell you, if you read the Bible, the God, the oneness of God is not there. Even some of them they reject, because there are many Bibles written by many people. Our Quran is not written by people. It was written as was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you cannot compare both of them at all. And the way we look at the Prophet is different. The way we look at insan is different. For instance, human beings were created according to the Bible, which is not really the true Bible. It's sinful. And we say no. Man created good by nature, but his desire might lead him to commit sins. It's not. But in their case, it's sin. And you have to go to confess to the priest. We say, just repent to Allah alone. Go directly to Allah. It's quite easy. So I think it does not go with fitrah. It's against fitrah, the good nature. So that's the thing I'm talking about. The assumption different, the ultimate goals different, and also the motivation are different. Unmute, Prof, unmute.
Oh yes.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. Okay. How do the next question from Anggita Pramestikinasik? The question is, how do we accept God decrees for us so that in the future we will always feel we always grateful and believe that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has arranged the journey of human life. Thank you.
Sorry, it's not clear. The question is not clear.
I would repeat again.
Okay.
How do we accept about God decrees? What decrees is what is so similar like when Allah have what we call about the six health and wealth, like that. Maybe the meaning of decrease is like wealth, health and wealth, and sick maybe, or ill. Okay. So we still have, we still are grateful or gratitude and believe that Allah give the best arrange for human life. Okay. I think that's the meaning.
Yes, okay. First of all, we have to accept one of the nature of this life. This life is very short. It's not our life. It's part of our life. And our life is linked to the other life. And this one is a very, very short. So, and we were all came here for test. For test. Sometimes we may be tested in our wealth by being poor or health or whatever. So the forms of being tested might be different. And we have to accept that. The most important thing we have to be thankful, are we ready to accept that kind of test or not? I mean, now if a student, for instance, did not study and you failed him, does he have the right to say that why you failed me? Simply because he didn't study? If somebody has happened something to him, then Allah telling him to be patient, Allah will reward him in the next life. So it is not only we are living very, very short time, but the extended time, he will be rewarded. As I said, he might get reward better than the rich. So if we believe that there is a hereafter, we wouldn't be saying such kind of thing. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
There is
Okay,
something.
heavy rain in Semarang, Prof. Heavy rain in Semarang, yeah. Heavy rain.
Yes. Any more question? Unmute, Prof. Unmute. Your mic, your mic.
Oh, yeah, okay. There are still a few questions from students. And now I will report to everyone that Semarang is still heavy rains. Some of our students not in Semarang because still pandemic. Some of them in outside Semarang city.
Online.
So yes, online class. I inform to everyone that Semarang is still heavy rains. So there are thunder. Something happened, and yes. The next question is about from Lukmanul Hakim. Yeah, from Lukmanul Hakim. The question is whether the concept of humanity can be seen in general perspective, like the Quran, but what is that? Okay. Oh, it's about ini human perspective can be seen view Quran perspective because there are some what we call about the some like what it like a different mazhab, sir. What we call in English? Different mazhab like a Hanafi, Hanbali, yes, like that. Yeah, okay. Do you understand that? Okay. So what do you think about the human being in Al-Quran from the perspective of mazhab like Shafi'i, Hanbali, and
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think all of them have the same concept. If you refer to Quran verses and hadith, they will be the same. But if you go and you tell me later scholars saying this, some of them, for instance, some Muslim philosophers, they they were influenced by the Greek philosophers. So the best thing to do is to go back to Quran and Sunnah directly. And there are a lot of tafsir for them. No problem. And you have to refer to your scholars in your country to explain to you. But in general, there is no difference in this. At least in what I have been talking now today, there is no difference. Because the madhab, they focus on only the slight things. I mean, secondary things. For instance, you put your hand in your prayer here or there or there or there, but then you cross your hand. That's all. So please always ask about the evidence from Quran and Sunnah. That's the best. But also, who will explain them? I think you have to refer to whom you trust from the scholars you have in your country.
So even there are a few mazhab, we still there are difference about the human being concepts.
No.
No,
There is
still the same.
There is no one would say man is from a spirit and clay. Can we have different madhab regarding this? No. All of them they will say from clay, because stated quite clear in the Quran. Only they differ in something which is not directly mentioned in the Quran or Sunnah. That will be different. The interpretation of it will be different. So there is no, don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, okay. The next question is from Muhammad Rizki Maulana. The question is, maybe it's about the philosophical questions. Yeah? The purpose of human life is to serve and worship to Allah. Even though we know Allah doesn't need worship or anything from His creations. So the question is then, why did God create man?
I didn't understand the question at all.
Okay, okay, I will repeat again. The purpose of human life is to serve and worship to Allah.
Yes.
So we know that, actually Allah doesn't need worship or anything from humans.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So what's the really reasons of human created, God created humans?
Yes. Well, as I said, the test. The answer is test. He wants to test us. That's all. Nothing else. الذي خلق الحياة والموت ليبلوكم. He created life and death to test you. Who is the best among you? That's all.
Okay. Next question from, who is this? From the student, the name is Nairatul Abariyah. Yeah? And her question is, how do we stay firm in faith in accordance with the teaching of the prophets?
Can you say it again?
Okay, in the globalization and the fast of informations,
yes,
about the internet and etc.
Yes.
There are so many influence in our faith related with our religions.
Yes.
So how do we stay firm in faith?
Okay.
In accordance with the teaching of the prophet.
Okay.
Of Rasulullah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
It's very important questions. Globalization, the term globalization came from the West. It's, I think, it's a kind of domination. So they want to dominate the word from one word. So one country or few countries want to dominate the scene in the whole world. That's what is happening. That's the meaning of globalization today. It's a kind of threat. And there is no sensitivity to the realities we have. And the best thing to do is to know your deen, to know your religion, and to be committed. So knowledge first, understand your knowledge, your deen, understand it first. Second, practice it. And you cannot do it alone. You have to do it with others, the rest of the society, the rest of the family members. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, man in loss, except those who believe, do righteous deeds. That's two. So you have to know first. Second, you have to practice. Third, now is not alone. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So they advise each other with patience, how to be patient. And also, بِالْحَقِّ, how to advise each other with the truth. So like today, we are advising each other with the truth. We are trying to introduce the truth, to share the truth with you. And also we have to work together to be patient against the globalization. So it's a collective work. Collective work is not individual work. Believe, knowledge, then practice, then support each other with patience, counseling each other, and also support each other with truth. That's the best way to do it, inshallah. I think, are there many questions? You can, if you have many questions, you can translate them to me.
Any question, Prof? From student?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is from Shirley Amanda Finca Anggraini. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There are three characteristics in distinguish of Muslim. One of them is the purpose of Muslim life as a servant to Allah. So what is the purpose of this characteristic? Do we have to always devote our lives to Allah without living another life such as walking?
Well, as I said, we should not confuse traditional understanding to Islam to the Quranic concept of Islam. Quranic concept of Islam or Islamic concept of Islam is that every part of our life, whether at home or in the neighborhood or in the school, university, in work, in the factory, in the street, everywhere, we have to be Muslim everywhere. So cleaning the environment is ibadah. Helping others is ibadah. Prayer is ibadah. Zakah is ibadah. Obedience to your parents, ibadah. Everything with two conditions. With two conditions, everything is ibadah. Any act, any saying in your life is ibadah. With two conditions. One is to be sincere in what you do for Allah. The second thing, you should not commit something haram. That's all. Apart from that, everything is halal. Everything is rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sincere, you don't commit haram. Apart from that, everything is okay. You know that it's wide scope of activities, all ibadah. So open your mind, be flexible, and think that everything which benefit you, benefit your family, benefit your society, benefit humanity is ibadah. And you will be rewarded. So we don't have dual life. It's only one life. One life. This life and the hereafter is one life. So act for the sake of Allah. Act without committing something haram. Then everything you do is you are in the right way and you will be rewarded in the hereafter. So don't think that you have two lives. Should I segregate? This is like priesthood. if you segregate yourself in the mosque and you go outside, you know, one day Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh came to the masjid and he found somebody supplicating, making dua to Allah, asking to give him money, to give him rizqi. He told him, who is sponsoring you in the masjid? He said, my brother. He said, your brother is better than you. And he slapped him in his back. Go out and work in order to get my rizq. So that's you have to do research. You have to learn. You have to work. You have to produce. You have to innovate. You have to be creative. You have to help others. You have to develop society in order to be good Muslim. Then you will be good in the hereafter as well. Wallahu alam.
Okay, next question from Nurul Hayati. Her question is about faith. How do we run our faith in Islam? Should we choose one of the mazhab of Islam, like Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, or anything, in the way of us to doing our religious activity?
Look, I'll be more realistic in answering this question. I'll be very more realistic. For those who are seeking Islamic studies, they have to read Quran, Sunnah, refer to Quran, Sunnah, and ask the scholars to know what is the best. But if you are an ordinary person, it's better to just follow the madhab which is dominant in your country. If you are Shafi'i, just go on with Shafi'i madhab for those common people. But those who are specialized in Islamic studies, they can follow up and understand the rest of the madhab and everything. But don't push people, all of them, to just be open thinker, to be mujtahid in Islamic studies, and he still doesn't know anything about Islam. So for common people, I think let them stick to the madhab you have. But for educated people who have knowledge in Islamic studies, then they can compare and understand and get an opinion about it. Wallahu a'lam. You know better in Indonesia.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. Dawood. And then next question from Sefira Melati Wulan. And her question is regarding the concept of human in Islam to balance between soul and body. What is an effective way to balance it? Because every human being has priorities that make impossible to balance between them.
Okay, there is no objective way. I don't have a balance so that I weight this and I weight this. It's just, you know, trying your best. Trying your best. For instance, I'll just give an example. Every one of us has to have a plan for his or her life. For instance, to develop the mind. That is learning, training, knowledge, skills, and so on. If you want to cultivate the heart, tazkiyah, purification, you have salah, siyam, zakah, hajj, and also zikr, recitation of Quran, reading tafsir, and so on, attending Islamic sessions, and so on, knowing more knowledge about Islam. And when you talk about the physical body, you need to do exercises, you have to eat balanced food. If you are looking for social life, you have to get married, and you have to establish good family, and you have to educate your kids for the future. So we have to plan in a balanced way. Socially, spiritually, mentally, physically, and everything. So first, I would ask you, go back. Maybe, I promise you, if you have another lecture, I can talk to you about how you plan according to Maqasid Sharia for yourself and your family. Easy, very simple. I can give you a lecture about that. How to plan for yourself and your family according to Maqasid. الشريعة. So you have to have that kind of balance and divide your time according to these areas, which I've just mentioned some of them. And I mean, there is nothing objective. Everyone will do it according to themselves. I mean, when I talk about the social family to get married, maybe it's not the time now. It is after 5 years from now, for instance. So some of the things you can do, focus now, what are the priorities? At every age is different from time to time, but at least seek knowledge in Quran and Sunnah, practice the ibadah and zikr and so on. At the same time, learn for a job to earn money, halal money, and then establish your own family and help society in any way you can.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, we will move to a question from Maulana Ardi Dewanto because still many questions. So I think students very interested to your lecture, I think.
Alhamdulillah, I don't mind. I can give another lecture, a third lecture, fourth lecture, no problem.
Okay, I will be happy if you have chance to come to Semarang. When the pandemic is over.
I've been there. I came to your university 3 years ago.
Okay.
With
okay.
Prof. Anas.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Next question from Maulana Ardi Dewanto. Based from your experience, do we now need a new interpretations of the Quran that involves modern knowledge in its interpretation? So, what do you think?
Well, okay. There is no new interpretation of Quran. There are a methodology, a research methodology called Usul al-Tafsir, the fundamental of Tafsir al-Quran. In order to make tafsir, you have to follow this methodology. For instance, you have to know Arabic knowledge. Okay? You have to know Arabic knowledge. But she mentioned the sister now in Arabic, Tafsir Mawdu'i. Tafsir Mawdu'i, we translated in English, thematic interpretation. And one of the well-known Tafsir Mawdu'i is Muhammad al-Ghazali, thematic interpretation. It's in English, and you can get it free. But in English. There is a copy in Arabic, a copy in English, which is available. If you want, we can provide you with. So yes, you need to discuss tafsir according to our needs in our life. That's the most important thing. So we have to learn from tafsir how to do research, how to run our families, how to run our school, our economy, everything. That's what you said, Mawdu'i, thematic interpretation. Yes, okay. Go ahead. I think maybe you have to specialize in this in your university and create a unit of a tafsir al-Mawdu'i in your university. Prof, again, the microphone, mics, Prof. We cannot hear you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, we move to question from Mila Tanha. Maybe we are really sorry for our students because not all of your question will be delivered to Prof. Dawood because there are still many questions. And
next time, inshallah, next time.
Okay. Okay, we still have one question again to answer, sir. Okay. The question is, some people follow his religions because of he was born to parents who are certain Muslims. Yeah. Then what about the children who born from the parent are not Muslim? But the children always wants to find the truth about the belief in God. So what do you think? The children died in a search of the truth of the God. Can be he still consider as believer in God, or he or she may be in mushrik?
Okay, brother and sister, Alhamdulillah, if you are born within a Muslim family, that's Alhamdulillah. So your parents are responsible for you to bring you up according to Islam. But if somebody in one way or another left or commit sins, I think he or she, we should help him and guide him and be merciful to him or her and bring him back. So to us, everybody born Muslim, everybody, even the non-Muslims, everybody is a Muslim because he didn't know anything. How can we call him kafir when he was born? Only his families make him Christian or Muslim or Jew or whatever, as the hadith stated. So we have not to encourage people to leave Islam, but to bring them back and to motivate them and encourage them to come back and to enlighten them with the true knowledge to know about Islam so that they can follow Islam based on conviction and also passion. Wallahu alam.
Okay. Okay. Last question for this sessions.
Okay.
From Murtiningse. I do hope you not mind it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The question is, why do people who are religious other than Islam sometimes live better than Muslims, who always carry out worship as well as possible? How is related to the verses in the Quran, which explain that if we are close to Allah, then all of our problems and desires will be resolved and fulfilled. But why do people other than Muslim sometimes have a better life than Muslim? So what do you think about it?
Okay, I think that the word better life, what do we mean by better life? We said the better life for us as Muslim is to please Allah, to be satisfied whatever we have. But if you think that if you are wealthy, you are have a leading better life, that's not true. Not true. So the concept, what is a better life? First, we have to decide it. We have to define. So as we said, the most pious in Allah is better than anybody else. So somebody, for instance, I'll just give you an example. If somebody has 10 ringgit, Malaysian ringgit, and one has 10 million. Now, the one who had 10 ringgit, he give a charity 5 ringgit. And the other one give 1 million. Who is better? The one who give 1 million or 5 ringgit? The one who give 5 ringgit. Because that has 10 ringgit, 10 million, and he gave only 10%, whereas this given 50%. So life is not money. Life is not luxurious life. Life is not big bungalow. Are you satisfied with yourself? Haya tayyiba. So I think we have to establish what do we mean by life? What do we mean by better life? You can have a very small house better than a bungalow, and you are satisfied. And thus in the bungalow might under stress and then anxiety all the time. So I think we have to review our understanding of a better life. But if a non-Muslim is giving charity, giving things, Allah will help him even in this life. Will give him better life in this life because he's doing good things. But you will be given in the hereafter and in this life. We are looking for success in this life and success in the life to come. Wallahu alam. I cannot hear you. Okay, now.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. I think that is the last question from now. Maybe we do hope we still have another chance.
Okay.
Okay, or maybe if we have another chance, you can come to Semarang to giving a lecture directly or offline, yeah, offline class.
Yes, okay, no problem.
Because some student told me that participate in Zoom in virtual class is similar with we watch the YouTube similar. So they do hope maybe we can deliver lecture offline or face to face.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay. Okay, thanks in advance for your time, Profesor Dawood Hidabi. And terima kasih kepada mahasiswa yang
Terima
sudah
kasih.
berpartisipasi dalam kelas ini dia. Our class is Islam for psychology, ya. Islam for psychology, that is related with the Islamic psychology, yeah, and all for the next lecture. Okay, thank you. Terima kasih in bahasa Indonesia.
Terima kasih.
Mohon maaf, marilah kita tutup dengan we close with doa kafaratul majlis, ya. Oke, subhanallah wa bihamdika, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Oke, billahi taufik wal hidayah. Mohon maaf. Sampai jumpa di kesempatan lain. Thanks in advance for Professor Dawood Hidabi. See you in the next chance.
Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you.
Welcome.
Assalamualaikum
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, izin live nggih, Mas.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum.